Hi, I'm Auri'An. I'm a crone of the International Coalition of Crones. I live in far north Queensland in Australia, and I work there as a holistic counsellor and a meditation therapist. I also help people on their journey through their spiritual awakening. And today I have a message from an incredibly unusual animal or person. Haven't quite worked out which. So let's go. First of all, do you believe in dragons, in fairies? How about angels or extraterrestrials? These are all, in many respects, beings of power. Mythological beings wrapped up in stories that can be beneficial or incredibly destructive. I was certainly surprised when this next creature appeared to me with a message for the humans of Earth. But as I started to unravel the message, it became obvious that it's not only appropriate to the times we're living in, but a really good time to hear this message. There will be few people on this planet who could think of this being as beautiful. Though I suppose there's a certain unique beauty. Generally, with the body of a man and the head and the tail of a bull, the Minotaur is a creature that is almost guaranteed to bring nightmares. And that's not really surprising, because the Minotaur represents our greatest fears. Mainly an aspect of a primal fear that all humans hold. One that philosophers have frequently discussed, and that is the fear of the unknown. The fear of the unknown is considered to be an irrational fear. A fear of something that our imagination dreams up, and yet it feels it's a very real possibility that whatever it is, it could actually happen. The reality is, though, that it may never actually come about. And we all live in this fear at the moment. We don't know what's going to be on the other side of the pandemic we're in at the moment. If there will be an other side, or whether life will continue as it is at the moment, we can come up with a lot of fears based on that one. And like the Minotaur, if you met him in the supermarket asking for your vaccination pass, it would definitely not be considered an irrational fear. The scientific name for this fear of the unknown is xenophobia. Yep, nowadays, xenophobia is more commonly used to describe a dislike, a fear, a prejudice, or even hatred of other people who are different to us. The term does have a broader scope. It's not limited to just other people, and was more originally used to include a more general fear of the unknown. And it's easy to see how the two interact. If there is someone who's different to you, and you can't be sure how they will act or what they will do, it can be scary. And if you put the Minotaur into that mix, where just looking at it sends that fear skyrocketing through the roof, there is never any doubt that whatever your fears or imagination has brought to the surface, the fear of what could happen has suddenly jumped from a possibility to a great big whopping probability. And that's where we, the collective consciousness of humanity, is standing right now. we are in the labyrinth with the Minotaur. There's a good probability that the mythological stories of beasts such as the Minotaur were written as a way to explain things that seem strange and mystical and frightening. And in this case, there is an argument that says that it's possible that the story was to explain earthquakes. You see, the Minotaur was supposedly trapped in a labyrinth that was built under the island of Crete, where, to be sure, there is a fair amount of destructive seismic activity. Apparently, he'd stamp through the labyrinth and roar in his anger and shaking the earth, causing buildings to fall. The story isn't always the reality, remember that. The message of the Minotaur is to remind us to keep our eyes and ears, mind, heart, and intuition open to all possibilities. The story told isn't always the reality. Time and the growth of knowledge are sometimes the only way that rational thought can explain what is or has happened. Right now, a large percentage of the people of Earth are living in a fear that is a form of xenophobia. It is a fear that is so widespread and insidious that most no longer recognize the fear. It's just a part of what is right now. We've become comfortable being stuck in the labyrinth. It's the new normal. It's well known that negative political movements and mass hysteria can be driven by xenophobia. Fear is our strongest survival trait, and it is a critical driver of our evolution. When we are in fear, we fight, or we freeze, or we get the heck out of there. As I look around me in our local community, as well as in the wider world, as portrayed by media, mainstream and independent, it's easy to see those who fight and those who fall into the freeze category. There isn't anywhere for those who want to get out of there. There's no escaping what's going on in the world right now. Flight is not a possibility. Me, I'm a freezer. My normal reaction to fear is to stick my head in the sand, do what I'm told to do, and hope it'll all go away. But I can also recognize myself under the banner of a different name for a fear of what may happen in the future. Something called anticipatory anxiety. This is where your world is filled with what ifs. What if I get COVID? What if I pass it to someone else? What if I die? What if my family dies? What if I get a reaction to the vaccine? What if I lose my job? What if my mask doesn't protect me? What if I want to go overseas? What if I want to go to the gym or a party or the pub or a wedding? The what ifs can be never ending. And they are something I am so familiar with from my past as I struggled through depression and breakdown and PTSD. And even now, when I am on top of those things, I will find myself excusing myself as just rehearsing in case the what ifs do happen. Even though I know that my imagination is far more active than what is likely to happen in reality. You can't separate the physical from the spiritual. And the physical also includes the emotional and mental bodies. There is a Minotaur in our midst, and our fears are so embedded in us that we no longer recognize them. They are part of who we now are, and they drive us to make decisions when our emotions are trapped, when we are in a labyrinth. This is cognitive dissonance. This is anticipatory anxiety. This is xenophobia. And it is causing the distancing and possibly even the eventual destruction of the collective consciousness of humanity. Can we get out the labyrinth? I don't know. But soon I'll explore those possibilities and probabilities. Thank you for listening. I'm Krone Auri'An of the International Coalition of Crones. And I'll put links below, all the different places that you can find me and follow me. Don't forget to hit subscribe and like. Thank you. May you be blessed in this future year.